So you got rejected by maybe a music library, a music supervisor, or a particular licensing opportunity, a custom job maybe. Ouch. That never feels good. And even 10 years into this business, I still face rejection from time to time. So I never get like getting those emails or those phone calls that say, yeah, thanks, Jesse, but yeah, we're not interested. We found something else we like better. It kind of feels like you're the, loser sitting on the bleachers at the prom, not getting the date, not getting the dance. And it never feels good. So let's just be honest. It sucks, right? But it is just a part of the licensing industry. And it's also just a part of life. You don't get everything that you want. And you certainly don't get every single opportunity in front of you. So you're not alone. I felt that way. I still feel that way from time to time. Every professional producer has felt that way at some point in their career. So you are not so unique in if you felt that way, or maybe you're feeling that way right now and you feel really demotivated and really rejected. You should know everybody has to go through that, right? And it really never completely goes away. There isn't a sort of just smooth sailing on after a certain point where you never get rejected. Even the top of the top producers, even the most incredible musicians and producers that you look up to still get rejected from time to time. Maybe there's certain people they want to work with, certain films they want to compose for, certain projects they want to be a part of, and they can't get the time of day from whoever they want to work with. So getting rejected is just a part of life. So we all have to just accept that. But a really great question that I got was, what do you do with the music that didn't get accepted, right? So let's say you put together, 3 tracks, 6 tracks, maybe even a full album. You pitch it to a library, you pitch it to a particular opportunity, and they say, no thanks. What do you do? I mean, the emotion alone is hard enough to kind of push past and get encouraged to go through. But is there something productive you can be doing with the music, right? With the actual product, better than just having it sit on a hard drive and not be doing anything for you? Well, I'll give you first the simplified answer, and then I'll sort of break it down into the more nuanced answer. So the first simplified answer is, do anything other than keeping it sitting on your hard drive collecting dust, not doing anything for you, okay? If you get rejected for an opportunity and the first place that you put that track is just leaving it on your hard drive or on your computer hard drive, and you never really visit it again, and you just kind of think it's a cursed project and you don't want to touch it, that is the biggest no-no. That's the worst thing, absolute worst thing you can do with a finished product, a finished piece of music, okay? Just because your track didn't get accepted by the library you were shooting for doesn't mean you had bad music or unlicensable music. It might have just been that somebody maybe gave them a little higher quality product at the time. Maybe they weren't interested in that particular sound. It wasn't really relevant to their clients of who they could actually get music placed with. So you might be sitting on a gold mine, and if you just keep it on your hard drive, you're literally storing, or I should say it's like you have a map to a big chunk of gold in the hills, and you're just deciding not to go get your shovel and go dig it out. It's just you're holding it there, and it's not doing you any good, and it's not going to make you any money. And it was just basically a big representation of a huge waste of time, okay? So that is the worst thing that you can do, is just hold on to your tracks and let them sit there collecting dust, okay? What are some other things you can do? Obviously, number one is try to find another licensing opportunity or another library or another custom job that you might be able to submit to that it might be appropriate for. Okay, you might, now with that, there's a huge disclaimer that has to be put in there. 90% of the time, you're not going to be able to just find a perfect fit. So let's say you compose a hip hop track, somebody has a hip hop opportunity. The chances that your exact sound matches up with exactly what they want for the opportunity it's a very slim chance, okay? 90% of the time, you will have to probably rework it a bit. You might have to change out some sounds, update a couple of things, maybe try to fit it a little bit more closely to what the library or music supervisor or ad agency is looking for. So just with that big disclaimer, usually the old, or the idea that you can just sort of plug and play and just throw tracks you used to compose at new opportunities usually doesn't work out. You will have to do a little bit of work. But that's usually the first place that I would say go for it. See if you can find an opportunity that can make use in the TV film world. Okay, we're talking about TV film music licensing. See if you can find another place, another library, another opportunity that it might be relevant for. Okay, already that's better than leaving it on your hard drive, right? Even if you don't get a placement immediately and there's an opportunity right away, having your eyes out there looking for something like that is miles ahead of letting it collect dust and not even potentially get you any income in the future, okay? So that's the first thing you should do. The second thing that I think might be a decent idea, now of course, big disclaimer, there are no guarantees with this approach, and there are various vendors and various websites that you can go through, and each one is gonna have their pros and cons, and that's not what I'm getting into in this video, okay? Maybe for another video I can talk more about these sites, but it's not something I personally do that much of because 99% of the music I make, guys, gets accepted into the opportunities that I do, into the libraries, into whatever. If I have a custom cue that doesn't get accepted, that custom piece of music immediately goes to one of my library partners. So I always have somewhere I can put it into the TV film world. That's just my approach to this. I really want to keep all of my music going in that direction. Now, however, if you don't have those relationships built up, you don't have enough contacts to probably be able to feed something like that, another option you can have is going to, there are sort of royalty-free online sites that are basically feeding smaller content creators. So YouTube creators, Vimeo creators, online streaming platforms, that kind of thing. Smaller budgets, not, not a Netflix, not a Hulu, nothing big like that. But somebody who just needs some music because they're putting together a web series or they have a YouTube channel and they want some cool theme music. There are people putting a documentary online. There is a growing economy of online content creators that also need music, and they need cleared music, licensable music that delivers a specific maybe emotion or vibe that really matches their project. So there's a lot of websites out there where you can actually submit your tracks and you get paid a one-time fee every time it gets purchased, okay? Now, you will not see the sort of passive income that TV film will provide, okay? So I need to put that caveat out there as well. You can get paid over and over again, so if you put up one track and that same track, let's say you make, $15 every time it gets sold, that can get sold hundreds and hundreds of times, and you can have that as your source of passive income, which can be huge and can actually stack up into some really decent income in the long run. But of course, in the TV film world, you're talking about synchronization, or what is the word that syndication? I always get those two mixed up. Syndication, where like a Seinfeld, it's going on for years and years and decades, and then of course it's going into other markets, other countries around the world. So you're getting paid on top of placements that's been going on for so many years and so many times. So that is not going to be possible with the royalty free. You get paid each time you get a license. Okay, it's not that sort of a business model. Doesn't mean you can't still make some money, but it's not going to have that kind of potential for you. However, putting your music in, let's say you had, 3 tracks that got rejected and you can't find a current licensing opportunity in the TV film world for those tracks, throwing your tracks up onto some of these royalty-free sites is better than having it sit on your hard drive, right? So in the level of best options you can take is, number 1, try to find another thing you can submit it to in the TV film world. Can't find that. Number 2, you basically submit it to a royalty-free site. Try to find maybe you can make some passive, not passive, but just sort of some money. So at least it's out there potentially being shopped, and it's not just sitting around. Because the worst thing you could do, number 3, is falling asleep on it and letting it just sit there. Because you've done the work, you've already put in your effort. Why not try to maximize that and try to monetize it in some way? It might not be the most ideal way, but you can make money in various ways online. And my philosophy is always, anywhere you can make money producing music, entertain the idea, okay? There's really no bad way to be making money from music unless you're following a model that'll set you up to just, like if you're a studio session or something like studio musician, you can only get paid when you're there in the studio working. So you can only sell so many hours of your day. There's only so many sessions that you can actually book. You're gonna hit limitations when you start tying your income to your time. But if you have TV film licensing or even a royalty-free situation where your track is just out there available to be shopped, no guarantees it will, but at least it's out there in the system, potentially able to secure you some money, that's a far better way to deal with getting a track rejected than falling asleep on it and just letting it sit on your hard drive. And I know a lot of you guys watching this right now probably are smiling because you have dozens, maybe 50, 100 tracks, most of them probably even half finished, sitting on your external hard drive. And one day you'll get to them and finish them up. That is a big drain on your energy, on your productivity, on your mindset. You gotta knock that out. I did a 30-day challenge, I think a couple months back. challenging you guys, if you're not finishing your tracks, just challenge yourself to finish them, okay? Even if they're not your favorite track, even if it's just like a mediocre whatever track, just finish the damn thing. You're going to start building a better habit for yourself moving forward, that when you start a track, you finish a track. It's a much better way to go. But there is potential, you know, even with rejected tracks that I've had. Just a quick story, and then I'll, you know, sum up this video. I remember there were a few custom jobs that I submitted to, probably the third or fourth year. Some of the first ones that I was getting in this business. And of course, you know, I didn't get them. More talented, better sounding producers got them. In the first couple years of my career, that was just like the usual standard operating procedure for me. I would submit to everything. I got a couple, but really for the vast majority of them, I got passed up and I never got them. Mostly because I didn't really know what I was doing. I was kind of stabbing in the dark in many ways, and you kind of trial and error, and you get better and better as time goes on. But hopefully you guys don't have to do so much of that because you're, you know, getting advice like this. But a lot of those opportunities that I did not get, though, I would immediately turn around and pitch to the library I was submitting to and say, hey, I don't know how many of these tracks you got from maybe the other writers on your catalog, in your library, but maybe we could put together, you know, some sort of a album, right, that you can put in your library to shop, your catalog to shop to your clients. So yes, we didn't get this custom cue, but maybe we could still shop this kind of music to other clients because it seems like it's in demand. And sometimes it works. Sometimes the library is like, yeah, great idea, let's put that together. Other times, nah, we're not really interested in doing that. It was just this one-time thing. Okay. Just throwing that idea out there, though, sometimes gets your library partners thinking about what they can do, and the music's already created. So that's the thing. It's like, you've already done half the battle. You have all this music sitting there. Why not put it together in a sort of album, right? So you can actually shop that, potentially get that placed down the road. So there are always ways you can do that. And I get placements from those sort of compilation. I call them, like, you know, they're like the B team tracks, the ones that didn't make it onto the custom queue. So they get kind of put into an album. But new client doesn't know that. They have no idea that these are the rejected ones. They just hear some music and go, yeah, this fits our needs. Let's license this. And I've gotten tons of placements on those kind of compilation albums that were sort of the rejects of my custom queues. So again, just always being creative, always thinking about a new place, a new way, a new opportunity, keeping that optimistic, positive, proactive mindset. That's what's going to keep you out of trouble. It's going to keep you away from, you know, wanting to, you know, not get out of bed and give up on this whole industry. Just always looking for an angle, looking for an edge, looking for something you can do even with work that wasn't initially accepted. It's just the way to go.